Welcome to Dependency TV. I'm Garth St. Clair.
And I'm Natasha Nunez St. Clair.
Today, we delve into the life of Miss Beverly Morson, who is the manager of the Serenity Place Empowerment Center for Women down there in Cochrane Village in Point Fortin. To discuss Beverly's life with us, we have on our panel Miss Anna De Silva, who is the assistant manager at Serenity Place and just recently retired acting coordinator of the National Alcohol and Drug Abuse Prevention Program, NADAP, that is Ms. Wendy Ann Watty.
Let's hear now from Beverly Morson.
Based on my experience, over the past 21 years since I'm in the business of treating with women, substance abusers, there are many women who abuse different types of drugs in this country. Most of them are alcohol. Most alcohol and cocaine are the popular drugs. However, within the last, like I said, 20 years, women don't present for treatment as regular as men. They stay outside. They are more closet users. They stay in their homes and stuff like that, and drink. So by the time they present for treatment, they become very chronic users at that point. Some of the signs would be that from the time you see her start to slack on her responsibilities, that's when you have to start questioning. You may have a family gathering at the home, and then she would be the one who would want to always go fix the drinks, go get the drinks, and you would find drinks missing, the drink is finishing so quickly, and you're wondering, well, what's happening? So you start to question, you start to find out what's going on. You look at her tardiness, you look at how she, in the home, and when everybody is gone, she's still sitting there drinking. These are some of the things that you would look at, and you would notice that there is a problem, something is wrong. Crack use is a lot less, it's a lot, it's not as prominent to identify as alcohol, because it takes a long time for somebody who using crack for the family to notice. Simply because in crack use, there are people who eat and drink and go on, the signs are not so clear, a person may be using crack, let's say, for about 3, 4, 5 months before it is detected, because people go on with their lives. But when you see they start to become again irresponsible, they start to lose weight. One of the things that is a symptom of crack use is the loss of weight. You start to find things missing in the home. You start to, you can't put down your purse. You see things, new things that you would have in the home, a bottle of wine or, perfume or things that they would start taking and selling.
So Wendy, you heard Beverly mention the fact that women are more reluctant to seek help when they realize they have a problem. Why do you think it is that women, as opposed to men, are more likely to hide their addiction, or why persons in their family or immediate surroundings don't pick up on these signs and symptoms?
Well, Natasha, society tends to judge women more harshly than men, and that's I think that is the essentially the reason why dysfunctional behavior concerning women are hidden, and it is something even in the family. If the family members recognize that something is going wrong with a female member, they too hide the fact that there's drinking, there's substance abuse, and that is because they may be ashamed. Women should be seen and not heard. Women should behave in a certain way, and drinking or the abuse of drugs and even alcohol, is not appropriate for women, and it is hidden. So that is why women become closet drinkers, because it is an issue that need to be kept a secret if there is a problem.
Because we are seen as being too strong and capable to deal with our problems and not turn to drugs or alcohol to mask it or to treat with it.
Yes.
Anna, tell us, what would make some female finally come out and admit there's a problem and try to get that help?
Well, many things could make make a person come to that point. Being tired of the drugs, family embarrassment, a whole lot of stuff that Wendy Ann spoke about. The stigma attached to women is really bad in this country. In my experience, I had enough of the drug. I am also part of the substance abuse family. I had enough. I got tired of it. The drugs were not doing anything for me anymore, so I made my decision then and there.
But as a female, still you would have done a lot of damage by then to family and stuff.
Oh yes. Today I am still trying to mend the damage that I have done to my family and friends and, to Trinidad and Tobago, because it was a very bad situation.
Let's go to a break now, and when we come back, we hear about Beverly Morson's life story. So let's hear now about Beverly Morson's life journey.
I too had been involved in drug use for 25 plus years. I started at age 10 plus. And I stayed out there. I live on the street, live in a cemetery, eat out of the garbage, that kind of thing. As a child, my mother died when I was 5 years old. So I grew up practically with my grandmother. My early childhood was one of poverty and incest and rape and all of that, because it was a dysfunctional home, single parenting, that kind of thing. But my mother and grandmother's value system was about education. So in the home it was about licks and school and school and licks. You didn't study, you didn't work hard, you didn't come first in test, it was licks. When I failed my common entrance examination at that time, I sat it twice. And I failed both times. And my grandmother beat me for a whole year straight. Every time she remembered that I failed, she would, I send you to school, and that's what you do, and it would be licks. My mother died. I was 5 years old, and I actually witnessed my mother bleed to death. She was pregnant, and the baby died in her. And by the time they rushed her to the hospital, I was there standing with the door open, and the doctors trying to get her to stay alive, and she was just bleeding as fast as they gave her blood, and I was just 5 years old at the time. There was one day my grandmother beat me, something I did, and she gave me a good curtail, and she had this habit, when she beat me, she would send me to the shop. And this day when my grandmother beat me and sent me to the shop, when I came out the door, there was this girl who lived next door. She was much older than me, and she said, just here you get licks. Come. And I was so happy that this girl spoke to me. I was so glad. I felt so good. I went to her and asked her what she wanted. And she said, come and go with me. And she took me to this abandoned building. And under the building, there was a room. And there was these guys, when we went in, there was these guys sitting in a circle, smoking marijuana in what you call a chillum. And they invited us to sit in the circle with our legs crossed, and they just passed it around, and that was my introduction to smoking marijuana, and it continued from there. Every opportunity, every chance I got, I ran away and went there to smoke marijuana. Some days I would skip school.
So Wendy, Anna, we just heard about Beverly's very traumatic early childhood and the fact that her grandmother, who she was living with, used corporal punishment to discipline her, I suppose. What do you think the impact of that kind of treatment of children at that age has on an individual?
Well, Beverly's trauma started very, very early. At the age of 5, I cannot understand how she was exposed to situations that were adult. There was the image of the mother being pregnant and the blood. That alone is a traumatic experience for a young child, a 5-year-old, yes. And she lost as a result of that experience. She saw her mother die, and she lost the person who appeared to be closest to her, somebody who was close, somebody who could provide her with love. And after that, subsequent to that, she went into a home where she was beaten for things that she had no control over. There were lots of expectations of her from very young, and it doesn't seem as if she was given an opportunity to be a child, you know, to play, to listen to music, to have somebody listen to her experiences. How was your day at school? What happened? It doesn't appear that there was any of that. And those are the kinds of experiences that children need. I didn't get the impression that Beverly's grandmother even knew that she was exposed to abusive situations. And worse, it would seem as though somebody who was outside of the house, somebody outside of the family, heard her getting licks and sought to draw her into a situation where she would feel comfortable. She would feel that safe, that environment of being safe, being protected, and being cared for. And that is the situation, that is what attracted Beverly, a situation where she felt as if somebody was welcoming her, somebody was going to give her that kind of love, that kind of time that she so needed to share love and to share an experience with.
Let's hear now about the very tragic circumstances that led Beverly to move from marijuana to crack cocaine.
I left school when I was in Form 3 because the children in school, I followed all the crowd that was doing the wrong things. Those who were staying away from school, breaking beaches, so we called, and I would get involved with them, smoke marijuana, lime, do everything that was negative and was wrong. By age 17, I had my first son. By age 19, I had my second son. And it was at 19, I was introduced to a family who was selling drugs. They were selling cocaine in powder form. And so when I was introduced to that, I was introduced actually to do a domestic job for these people. But I always used to see the traffic going and coming. I didn't know anything about cocaine yet because it was just about alcohol and marijuana and cigarettes. And so when they invited me and I got there and they showed me, they told me one day they went out and they said they want me to sell this and they showed me what to do. And so I did it. When they got home and they saw the profit that I made, they gave me a full-time job. I was now working for $1,000 a week and I had free access to food stuff in the grocery and stuff like that. So I practically lived by this family. This was in Jackson Place, Port of Spain. So my life continued. I got involved in several relationships because my two sons is for two different fathers. And then I got involved with this other relationship while I was selling the drugs. And this guy, promised to take care of me and stuff like that. And that was happening until he decided he wanted to go away for a holiday. And I said, no problem. But while I was selling drugs, I was, saving the money with him. And he said, we'll save it in a joint account. But my focus was so much on the drugs and selling the drugs and the whole glamorous lifestyle. I didn't pay attention that to open a joint account, you had to, do stuff. You had to go to the bank together with the individual. So I left it and he went away with most of my money. And about a month later, his mother called me and told me he was married. I didn't know how to deal with that. I didn't know what to do. The people I was smoking more. And the people who I was selling drugs for, the lady, she said, she came and she saw me crying and in a mess, and she said, why are you crying? You know, don't worry about that. When I told her what happened, she said, don't worry about that man. It have more fishes in the sea. Stop worrying about him. He done gone already. And that is when she introduced me to crack cocaine. And there, my life became a living hell. The feeling I got from that drug, I became a vagrant searching for and never got again. You know, and I sold my soul to crack my brain. I don't know, my big son, he would come, Mommy, we hungry, because I would have sold everything in the house. Mommy, we hungry. Can I go by uncle and get $5 so we could buy a bread so we could eat? I didn't think about that. So I was glad for his thought. And he went by uncle and told uncle a story, and uncle gave him $5, and he came back. And I took the $5 and I said, let me go and buy the bread. And I left and never went back. I had a daughter before that. She was 3 years old and she swallowed a chenet seed and she died. And when that happened, I didn't know how to deal with that, so I continued smoking. My life continued like that, and I used to just sell everything. If I could have sold my children, I would have.
And I picked up there from Beverly a little bit of rebellion to start with. That actually, for me, is what triggered the whole domino effect. I don't know if you saw that.
Yes, I saw it. Let's face it, after being a product of corporal punishment, you will rebel at some point in time.
Right.
That is a must. You know, what we do with that rebelliousness is what makes the difference. Mm-hmm. Now, Beverly went full head first. First.
Yes.
You know, because, I mean, she felt that there was nobody for her.
Right.
You know, everything was licks, and, you know, she talked about the boyfriend leaving to go on a holiday, and she was betrayed by that because he went with all her money, and that could send somebody over the edge, you know. So she just went ahead and she got a solution. Her employer came to her and said, don't worry about it. You know, we have something that would pass the pain. And that was just the start.
Wendy, do you think that pain was, you know, bubbling under the surface all along, and this event of her boyfriend, you know, leaving her and going with all her money, that was a sort of a breaking point for her?
Natasha, I see Beverly's life as a cycle. Her journey is one of a search for love and acceptance. And as she grows older, she's experiencing, for example, she said she had her first child at age 16, 17. You know, she's searching for love and acceptance. And she views her esteem is built upon what others believe her or see her or accept her to be.
Or could
right?
get from her, I guess.
She's trying to get away from her own mixed feelings, her own, you know, bundle of pain. So there were other male experiences, again, looking for love and acceptance and appreciation in the eyes of others. Her introduction to or her escalation in drug use, her introduction to marriage. And we also have to think in terms of her physical being as a female, because drug use is also, it becomes more intense or worse if you are a male and a female. There are differences in male drugging and female drugging, and the impact upon their whole physical being. As a female, she's more susceptible to becoming addictive faster as a female. Her age too, she's a young woman.
A mother.
Her frame, she may have also been smaller at that size when she was younger. So she's more susceptible. So she's more inclined to become addicted faster than a man would. So her introduction to cocaine was not only a cracking experience for her brain, it was an entirely cracking experience for her body. You know, so it was not only, it was physical, it was mental, it was environmental.
Well, it got even more traumatic for Beverly. So let's hear more of her story.
One night I remember I was standing outside in the rain. This is 2 o'clock in the morning and I'm waiting for somebody to pass because I'm desperate for a smoke. And I'm waiting for somebody to pass to give me a smoke. There was this girl who was the Dan in the village and she was in control of all the drug addicts and stuff like that. And she pulled up in her car and said, "What you doing here?" And I said, "Oh gosh, Paula, give me a smoke please now." And she said, "Come." And I jumped in the car. She and 3 guys. They went up to the pusherman. They bought some drugs and they started to smoke while they by the pusherman. And then they moved on and they continued smoking. And she said, "Come go." And all this time I'm begging them to smoke now, but they're not giving me any. They're smoking. And she said, "Don't worry, you'll get smoke. You'll get real smoke. Come on, go." And they drive and drive and they continue driving until they turn off. And then they came to a stop to an abandoned pavilion. And the 2 of the guys stayed in the car, the girl, myself, and one of the guys came out. And we went up on this step where it was overgrown with bush and stuff like that. And we sat down there. And she said, "Well, yes, we will smoke here." And they started smoking, and they're smoking, and I'm begging. And then the drugs finished, and she sent the guy in the car to get some more drugs. But he took a while before he come back, and he wasn't coming back. When she realized that, she said, "Let me go and see what they're doing with my drugs. They must be smoking out all in the car." And when she went down to the car, they just drive off and left. What she left me with was the stem and the matches. So I didn't know what to do. Here I am, not knowing where I am, in a short top and a short pants and barefooted. And I was lost. And I decided that I have to get out of here. How? I don't know. But I started walking. And so I was walking and walking and walking. And then I heard voices and I saw a light. And I said, I was praying, I was asking God to help me to get out of there. And when I heard the voices, I stood up. And when they become closer, there was 5 men. They were hunting in the bushes. And they asked me what I was doing there. And I told them my story. And they said, "Okay, we will help you." And their way of helping me, each of them took turns in raping me. And they left me at the side of the track. And I managed to drag myself up and got up and started walking again. Battered, beaten, bruised, and I started walking again. And as I walked, and there's bush, I'm not hearing anything. Then I saw another light, and I said, "Thank you, God, this person will help me, whoever it is." And this was another hunter. And when I told him what had happened and the guys had raped me, I told him everything, and he said, "Don't worry, I'll help you get out." And we started walking, and he told me to come, let's go through this track, and he was giving me directions and stuff like that. And then he stopped, and he said, "I think it's my turn now." And he too raped me. And I got up again, dragged myself up, and then I started walking again. But this time it was clearing up, and I was hearing the traffic on the road. And so I followed the traffic, and then I came out and there was road, but there was cane field on 2 sides, so I didn't know where I was. And I started stopping, traffic that was passing, but I was looking terrible, and bare feet and looking in a mess, and nobody wanted to stop until this pickup vehicle stopped. And I told him that I wanted to go to Arima. I didn't know where I was. When I asked him where I was, he told me Karoni. I couldn't understand how from Arima I'll end up in Karoni. Anyway, he said, "Okay, I will help you to get there." And he did. He helped me, and he dropped me right directly in front of the road to go where I lived. And I thank God for that. But you know, that wasn't enough to make me stop. I continued to use even after those episodes because it wasn't enough to make me stop. To the pain of going through all that trauma, I couldn't live with myself. So I had to use it. The drugs was the escape. You know, I didn't want to feel that. I didn't want to deal with that. And so I continued to use more.
Wendy, that was some very, very heavy stuff. I'm forced to wonder whether women have a higher tolerance for pain. But what did you make of what you just heard?
Natasha, with increased drug use, Beverly's life seemed to be just escalating out of control. She lost, and also full of anomalies. Losing a child. She spoke about losing a child because she swallowed a chenet seed. And then with further drug use, she reaches this stage in her life where she would sell her child for drugs. When she talks about that need, that urge for the drugs, right along her journey, she seems to be wanting the drugs, and she appears to trust people, in very delicate situations that where her life was in jeopardy. She always appeared to be trusting people. She was raped by 5 men, and then there was she got up again. She got up again and she walked, and then she was raped by somebody who she chose to place additional trust in, and she, and she got up again, even though she was conscious of her appearance. She got up and she walked, and she prayed that she would reach to a destination or a place where somebody would offer her some genuine help, would reach out and help her in a genuine way. So that there was always something going for Beverly. There was always a glimmer of hope. There always seemed to be light at the end of the tunnel, which Beverly at the time of her drug use did not. She did not recognize opportunities. Even the time where the length of the journey, wherever she didn't know where she was going, that was an opportunity to change her mind about whatever she was going to do. She could have said, "Let me out of the car," I changed my mind. But there were always these opportunities. There were always these little glimmers of hope, glimmers of light that Beverly did not utilize. She continued to trust in God. She always said, "God help me, God help me," but she never really reached out in a way. But it was sufficient to carry Beverly through.
Anna, can you speak to the kinds of places and the vulnerabilities that women face in particular in their search for drugs?
Wow. It's terrible. It is terrible. And Beverly is sharing her story from 25 years back, maybe 50 years back kind of thing. And it's even worse now. You're getting into a car with a group of druggies and you're going wherever. You have no idea where you're going to, but you're going just because you want that drug. And that is the driving force. And people have no concern as to the danger involved. We're finding women cut in half and chopped up and stuffed with barrels, etc., etc. And one wonders how they get to that point, because the drug system in this country is really bad, and women just out here looking for love.
Okay, folks, we're going to take a break, and when we return, we're going to hear about the light at the end of the tunnel. There's some good news out of all of this. We'll be back. Thank you for staying with us. there's light at the end of the tunnel. There's some good news coming out of all of this, despite what you've heard. So let's hear from Beverly again with that good news.
I used to live in the cemetery, and when I leave the cemetery, I would go back to the house, sometimes 3 weeks after, just to see what I could find to sell. And one day I went back to the house, and searching to see what could be there to sell, I saw my little daughter. She was just 3 years old, and there she was with the paraphernalia, the pipe in her mouth. I don't know where she found a stem because my carelessness left it somewhere, and she was with the toilet paper and the match, and she was just about to light. And that was my rude awakening. I said, oh my God, I am creating an addict out of my own daughter. And it was at that point I snatched it from her and I ran out the house. And I said to myself, I had to stop. I had to find a way to stop. And so I went to New Life Ministries. I spent 3 months residential in the program. And at the end of 3 months, I left New Life Ministries, not having anywhere to go again, because I did not want to go back to my environment. And so New Life Ministries found a halfway house that I can stay in. By that time, they brought my little girl with me, so she had to go in the halfway house with me. And I stayed there, and then I got a job, and I moved on from there. I got involved in a relationship again, and then I had 2 daughters. And then one day I was introduced, the gentleman from New Life Ministries and another Sister Paul called me, and the relationship I was involved in with the 2 daughters, Mr. Cole, he used to work at Rebirth House. And they asked us if we wanted to open a treatment center, if we wanted to run a treatment center for women, because there was, at the time, no center opened for female drug addicts. And a lot of females presented to Sister Paul with the problem. And after much deliberation, we took up the challenge. We decided yes. And this was March 1996, we opened Serenity Place.